Hello! Before we get started on our first proper episode of Kingdom Gameplay, very exciting, I wanted to give a quick shout out to our friends over at the Pest Control podcast. Pest Control has been a huge supporter of our show from long before day one, if I'm being honest, and they just dropped their season 3, which is a great time to start listening. And if you like it when PCs are kind of bastards, which I know you do because you're here, you will like their 3rd season. Let's hear from them.
What is your name and current position within the company?
My name is Isidora Tripolia, Torpor.
Doug Vespa, somewhere between acting director and director, if I understand correctly.
My name is Kai Lee, one of the scientists in Grand.
Just to be clear, when a gun is pointed at you, you usually aren't the one asking questions.
Alright, tell me why I shouldn't kill you right now.
Dozing at his side is an aged golden retriever.
It's a good dog.
He takes a heart out of a cold box and squeezes it dry. Who's got a playlist? I got Ox.
The anomaly kills a member of the team.
I just want to make sure that I don't have to worry about you. Do I have to worry about you?
Thank you. And I pull out my magnum and I shoot her in the throat.
Pest Control presents Scionwood, a brand new, fully scored horror campaign of Monster of the Week. Find us wherever the forest is whispering.
State your name for the record, please.
I am Admiral Amaranto de las Cardenias.
I am the Bishop Junivane Wistred, who was of the ship Diligence, but still part of the One and the All. The whole thing? Okay. Natalina, untitled servant to the glorious municipalities of Tetra, eldest of the family Sardonius, who served her 3 with devotion. Just call me Talia.
My name is Citrine. No one else calls me anything.
Zichtmig, any old, switch 'em up or else.
Can you spell that for me?
No!
Thank you. In the early days, diplomacy was easy between the family and the Republic of Umbra. The family saw the developing hive mind as a natural home for their mission of togetherness and unity across space. The young Republic, desperate for legitimacy and eager for allies, welcomed them with open arms. Pilgrims voyaged to Thalassa to meditate in the psychic forests of Umbra. Bishops sat beside diplomats, cups of moss tea giving way to wine as nights went on, discussing what it meant to govern a population linked across space. The station, a joint venture between the 2 nations, was a triumph of international cooperation. Built together on Umbran soil, with parts from both nations, then launched into orbit during a beautiful ceremony where both national anthems were sung. It offered a place for people to meet without the cumbersome need to land an entire ship, and do their politicking somewhere neither party felt too out of place. Early in the process, it was named La Glorandrina, after a migratory bird common all over Thalassa, but which makes a seasonal home on the picturesque Umbran shores. On the tongues of family members unfamiliar with the Umbran language, the letters drifted. By the time the paperwork was signed, it was called Glorandrina. Of course, peace is not as easy as shooting a building into the sky. Decades passed, maps were rewritten, politicians assassinated, treaties written and broken again. When Splendor Soli interference cut off communication between the space station and the planet of Thalassa, they found it was easier to forget about it entirely. Today, it is populated by exiles, refugees, runaways, stowaways, anyone that could find it useful to be in a space forgotten by maps. A place to rest, a place to plot, a kinder, more gentle disappearance from a government that might rather a firing squad. And for those that live here, with a little bit of care and cultivation and community, it's a home.
Welcome to the Storyplayers podcast, an actual play podcast about things. I have given up on doing a good intro today because my brain is melting outside of my ears. I am your host, but not your GM, Birdie. Today we'll be having our first real session of Kingdom. I will be playing Nautilina Typhon, untitled servant to the glorious municipalities of Tetra, who served her three with devotion. She, fair pronouns, and she is a power. Maiden, why don't you say hello? Tell us who you're playing.
Hi, I'm Maiden. I will be playing Zichtmig, who is a truck freak isopod genetic engineer, and a perspective. Any all pronouns, by the way.
Mariana.
Hi, I'm Mariana, and I'll be playing Admiral Amarento de las Gardenias, pronouns she, her. She's from the Republic of Umbra, and she's a perspective. Also, a girl failure.
Respect.
Love her.
Thank you.
Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly, and I will be playing the Bishop Junivane Wistred, who was of the ship Diligence. Pronouns she, her. She is a power and an expelled member of the family.
And Pax.
Hi, I'm Pax. I'll be playing Citrine, who is our only touchstone.
Voice of the people.
Also our only boy. I'm so special today. And he is basically the station's handyman / resident eccentric mechanic. That's about it. He's just normal.
Just a guy.
So fucking normal. All right. So we're trying to get through our setup as quickly as we can today, because all of us are very excited to actually start playing our characters for Kingdom. I think we made these characters like last December. It is now September, which is really telling on myself with our production schedule when this airs like 17 months from now. But I'm really excited to dig into these characters. So, we talked a little bit off mic about what we want our kingdom to be. We know that we knew going in it was a space station that was separate from the wider conflict. Looking at our microscope timeline, something that I saw in there was, there was at least when the family made first contact with, our planet. Mariana, do you remember what we called our planet?
Absolutely not.
Awesome.
Isn't it Thalassa, I think?
Thalassa. Yeah, it means sea because we're the fish people. Except we're not fish people. We're just named after fish. Important distinction. Maybe in like 3 seasons we'll have gills, but...
Yeah, Zicht is a little closer to fish people than either of your guys.
Yeah. So, when the family made first contact with Thalassa, there was at least like an attempt to have a friendly relationship. I think the family offered to help with the moss problem.
Be not hell.
I think it would make sense if this was kind of a satellite orbital like embassy or border checkpoint that was built to facilitate that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it was like abandoned when peace broke down, but Mariana, you had some insight into embassies.
Yeah, so the thing is sometimes embassies, when they come from like countries that have very good relationships or like, where nothing actually happens, like a third world country embassy in a first world country when they're like in absolute peace and not everything is fine. Usually people get in there like to be ambassadors for like all their lives.
Mhm.
Like they get kids, like they get married, eventually becomes kind of like the kids become the ambassador, like kind of thing.
Mhm.
Because nothing actually really changed. That's not a problem. There's almost like no population of that country in that other country.
Mhm.
So, people just made their life there and spent years there.
So you're
They don't even get like sent to other places. So they just like, make their life.
so your pitch is essentially that this is like technically an active Umbran embassy that just like the people there have fully over the course of generations separated themselves and like cut themselves off and gone rogue and made a
Absolutely. Like
shadow embassy
they
society.
forgot they're there. Like they don't even remember that they have that over there, except when they need to send people to kind of disappear.
Mhm.
So they're just like, oh yeah, we're sending you to that, there, away.
Sending you off
And you
planet.
never heard of them again.
You're going to a farm upstate.
Basically.
Yay! Do I have friends that I'll run around and play with?
Yeah. So how do we feel about that?
I like that.
I'm into it.
Yeah, I like that.
I do think that it has become kind of a place that people know that they can, if you're in the know that you know that you can go there and it's somewhat off the grid.
Yeah, nobody's gonna check on you.
Like I've talked about Tetrad military service being no exceptions compulsory. There's probably a decent population of draft dodgers living up there, because why go to war when you can just go to space?
Also, we do kind of have precedent for this kind of thing. If Hawkset Savra hadn't royally fucked up her job and gotten kicked off the android space station,
Yeah, that was
she would have been there for life. And also that does mean we do have a precedent for, like, the Chikurg sending ambassadors that just move into a space station as mini embassies. Even though Zicht is very much not an ambassador.
Zicht is a special little guy. So I'm writing down former Umbran / family embassy slowly fell off the grid as more pressing conflicts took focus. Now a haven for those that don't want to be found and a convenient spot for exile.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Or inconvenient spot for people who get exiled against their will.
We also touched a little bit on aesthetics. So what we started with were sterile hallways that have greenery growing in them, kind of hexagonal corridors and blast doors. So very like classic sci-fi aesthetic. But we also pulled in stained glass aesthetics, which I'm very into. I think that makes sense given the family's presence there. Along with the greenery, there's also like molds and spores growing in bioluminescence. The things that had been built there were maps and signs, so it's easy to navigate despite being a little bit maze-like, painted routes, and communal gardens. I know my visual touchstone was really like Portal 2.
I love the idea of, like how you give kids night lights that can be activated by touch.
Yes.
I love the idea of that.
That's
like
so
a mushroom.
good.
Just
That's
slapping a mushroom.
So good. No, I love that.
Like in A Bug's Life, the like mushrooms in there.
Oh my god, I don't even remember that, but that's probably where I'm thinking about it from.
Okay, so we have this very like classic sci-fi image, but it's a place that's clearly been abandoned, but also clearly lived in, and I really like that tension.
Yeah. I think it also adds to the kind of, like, it was built for one purpose, for one thing, and it was slowly abandoned for that purpose, but built into a new purpose. I'm saying purpose too many times,
Keep
but
evolving into something different.
I'm literally imagining, like, what if the absolute sterile hell of a border checkpoint was made to be a home?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Getting a boardroom bunk.
So, that's a pretty good start. We should name the space station.
Wow, New York.
What's kind of the Umbran naming traditions? Because I know the family has their spaceship naming stuff, but what do the Umbrans name their like cities and stuff after, do you think?
I think Umbra keep all their names very like nature focused for people who wants to be so out of like touch with nature and with like this type of biological systems. All their names, even their people's names, they are basically just plants. And like, the faction is called after a fish, the planet is called after the ocean. Like they keep the theming very like anything nature related. Like basically Amarento is like
Yeah.
just a flower. The Las Gardenias is just from the gardens kind of thing.
The way that I'm just looking at names for migrational routes to decide on something is so fucking
Are you
crazy.
seeing any say some words to me, Pax?
And also all of them are in Spanish.
I don't have any good words. Because, okay, so like I used to live in Tanzania, and there's a huge migration that happens in there once a year in the Ngorongoro crater, but I don't think it has like a specific name other than the Great Migration. I'm just like, great guys, you couldn't come up with a cool name for me to steal.
Let me look something up.
I mean, there's probably a name for it in like a different language that.
Yeah, I mean,
but I also
so,
that
like,
also feels weird to steal.
Exactly. I mean, there is like, so like the whole point is like the Serengeti and Ngorongoro are both like Maasai names for different things. Exactly. So it's just like.
It's a good pull though, because the idea that it's supposed to be like.
I mean, all my names are in Spanish too. So if you find a word, I can translate it, and it should be fine because Spanish is my main language.
This space station has become Latina.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I'm not joking. Did you were looking up something? Did you find something?
I did not. I was trying to find any like migration kind of birds, kind of thing like that we can like.
Migratory birds.
Mm-hmm.
We'll name it after the salmon run.
Quick, Mariano, what's the Spanish word for salmon run?
For what?
What's the Spanish word for salmon?
Salmon.
Great.
Damn. What's the Spanish word for migration?
I'm just looking birds. I think. Where is it? No, they're too difficult for you guys to pronounce.
Nobody
Very
cared
fair.
when we were doing that to you. But anyway, we cannot just turn you into a dictionary. That's very rude.
And you guys pronounce golondrina. It's a bird.
We could certainly learn.
It's a tern.
Yeah.
Basically, terns. I love how in English it's so short.
Okay. Yes.
In Spanish, it's such a long name. Because it's also a seabird, so it kind of works.
Yeah. Do you want to type down the name so I can read it?
Very carefully. So the mic.
Also, maybe Molly can put it through the like what we do to words.
Golondrina.
Y'all do weird things to words after a couple generations.
We
So
do.
maybe we can have
We do.
Molly put Glorandrina through the family filter.
Oh, I like them.
And I'm sure Umbrans are pronouncing that word properly.
Oh, absolutely.
We're gonna do our best. Let's move on to step 2, which is threats to the kingdom. Brainstorm 3 threats to the kingdom. These are things people in the kingdom are worried about. They endanger the status quo. A mix of internal and external problems is best. I think the first threat is pretty easy, which is the war on Thalassa has turned suddenly and violently hot. But I'm interested in some internal strife as well. I don't know, resource scarcities are always kind of an easy one to turn to.
It could be more that the single mastic mech that's used to fix the spaceship is currently broken down. They don't know what to do about it.
Yeah,
That's an idea.
I was going to suggest something along the lines of, like we have painted this space station as something that used to be in good shape and is now, partially because it was made a home and also partially just because it hasn't been fully crewed in a long time, is kind of falling apart. So I think the idea that people are just worried, like, how much longer is this space station going to be able to function?
How do we feel about the station takes constant maintenance to stay habitable? Or the station takes, like, increasing levels of effort to remain habitable?
Yeah, I think that sounds good.
I like increasing levels of effort.
Yeah, I feel like it taking maintenance to remain habitable is just, like... That's life when you're living in space. There is going to be a lot of upkeep.
Levels.
Yeah, exponentials of resources and
I could make
time.
it even, the effort required to keep the station habitable is starting to outpace available resources.
That
like,
sounds great.
Very wordy,
really
but I like it. It communicates what we
It puts a finger on the button in a real way.
Yeah, and I think it interacts really well with the first threat, because, like, maybe part of why we're suddenly running low on resources is both because the station is getting older, and because since Thalassa is in, like, such big conflict right now, we can't go down there and get any resources from them. Like, any trade we've got is much more risky.
We can't go down there. There's probably more people coming up. So it's really just a strain on all sides.
Yeah, and government help is probably, like, dried up because there's the question of, like, one, can we afford to give you resources in war? But two, also the idea that, like, if you're getting resources from one government to the other, sometimes you suddenly stop being able to try and be neutral, and it's like... there are going to be strings attached.
I will also say that planetary contact is cut off as well.
Yeah.
So there is no phoning home.
And I think that, like, getting any kind of aid was already a little bit complicated because the way we exist, our government's politely looking the other way.
Yeah.
Like, this station stopped reporting back generations ago. There's really not supposed to be anybody on there anymore.
Yeah.
Alright. Okay, we just need one more. Swing for the fences with this one. We could get something weird. Maybe there's moss growing on
not
the
again.
walls.
Oh my god. It follows me everywhere.
Guys.
I mean, it is a threat to me, specifically.
Doesn't need to be that specifically. I just do think it would be interesting to have a threat that's, like, a little bit out of left field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I don't really want any of the threats to be, like, factions, and we already have a very grounded threat, so I think something unusual would be cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the book, because there are a couple kingdom seeds that just have example threats and example crossroads, and some of them are not really applicable to us. For example, the first kingdom seed that the book offers is a high school anime club.
Damn.
Actually,
guys, is it too late
I was
to
gonna
change
say,
it?
but what if?
I'm not changing my character at all. Zicht would be in an anime club.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We can play, guys. We can play this as an AU. I'm not
Yay.
joking. We can,
Yes.
but we can't play this now. We have done months
But in
of
the
world
future,
building.
The only other problem is that none of our characters are actually teenagers.
One of mine is.
Well, okay, maybe the threat is posers are flooding the fandom. They don't understand our anime.
Oh my god.
Okay. I'm just gonna start reading out some of the threats, even if I don't necessarily like them. Dangerous animals in the woods, or just skunks. Can there be like a haunted... Can there be something that's haunted and people don't want to go there because they think it's haunted?
I was gonna say whispers in the vents.
Oh my god, the walls are talking to us?
that's nice.
Are there people or is it something
Yeah,
else?
we don't know.
Who knows?
Nobody knows.
Eventually, we'll have to decide if ghosts are real or not, but we don't have to do that right now.
Exactly.
I do want...
That's a future
I do want to
problem.
make sure we all remember that when we made the palette in Microscope, we put talking to dead people on it and then just never touched it again. So
We did put
could
talking
be
to
us.
dead people. We did do that.
you did that specifically.
I did
You
that.
put
I wanted talking to
We
dead
had a
people,
whole
and then I forgot it.
conversation about how necromancy doesn't have to be magic.
Yes. Because magic is not allowed, but dead people is.
The walls are talking to us.
I love the threat, the chalice has started humming.
Okay.
I don't know how
my
we'd
God.
use
Okay.
that, but
I mean, that really does just sound like another way to say the walls speak to us. Is... Do we want ghosts in the walls?
Yes.
Alright. Ghosts in...
Could be my dear friend Rat Boy still.
Oh man, I said the touchstone was Portal 2 and then I just put Ratman in it.
Damn it.
Ugh. The walls speak to us? Question mark? Okay. So there's, yeah, those are the 3 threats. As a reminder, the ones that we landed on are: the war on Thalassa has turned suddenly and violently hot. The effort required to keep the station habitable is starting to outpace available resources, and the walls speak to us. Can move on to step 3, which is locations. Each player describes a location in the kingdom, some place where characters are likely to be found and interact. Players can go in any order, but we will go around twice, so everybody contributes 2 locations.
Yay.
I was gonna say, maybe whoever's at the top of the list can go. Instead of me being first, I'm at the top of the list.
I can go first if you'd like.
Alright, do you have an idea?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is kind of like a silly, kind of obvious idea, but Citrine has a workshop / home. So I would say, like, Citrine's workshop near the airlock where he lives.
So is this Citrine's workshop, or is this a general mechanical workshop that you can...
I think it's his in specific. He like lives there.
Okay. Does he let people... if someone else needs to fix something, does he let people in?
Yes.
Alright. Needling it just a little bit because I want to make sure it's like a useful location for scenes.
Yes. Mostly, I think he has like a big enough space and he has most of the supplies. So like if people come to him, he's just like, yeah, you can borrow this and also use this bench. Don't try this somewhere else.
Okay, that makes sense. Mariana, do you have a location?
So yeah, since this was supposed to be like, an embassy job, I think it's very obvious that, well, Amaranto being now quote unquote the new ambassador have an office which is quite big and actually run down because nobody have used it in years. There's no door, so everybody can walk in and walk out. But she's still kind of set up a little bit of like a table and her little desk, and she pretends it's an actual like functional office, even when people are just like hanging there.
God. Embassy turned town hall.
Basically, like because of course originally when this was constructed, the main office of the main ambassador was supposed to be a big place. Like, people go there, like they show their power that they have. And with the years, these have just, it's useless. It's not really used anymore.
It's got a nice chair for you to sit in. Makes you feel important.
She do have a nice chair. And basically that's it. And very small desk and a nice chair. Just random people walking in and out.
Like a mushroom is growing out of the armrest.
Yeah. She's fighting some
but
bug.
It's fine. It's fine though. She can use it as a reading light.
Exactly.
God.
All right. You know that scene in the first season series of Doctor Who where they're on a space station and there's just a huge like window hallway where they can look out and see Earth get destroyed? I want that big like picture window that shows you the galaxy. I want to be able to have angsty scenes gazing down on Thalassa.
Oh my goodness. Just like Sunshine.
Just like Sonic Adventure 2.
Perfect.
Love it.
This is the part of the show where we find out that everyone here is a very different, specific type of nerd. We have the Doctor Who person, we have the video games person, and we have the cinema person.
I resent being the Doctor Who person, but I also can't defend myself.
You literally could have chosen any space station ever. They all have that, and your brain went to Doctor Who. Sorry, it's terminal.
But I'm gonna say picture window observation deck. So Molly and Maiden, do either of you have a location?
I've got one. So my first location, it started out as the hydroponics lab and has turned into the communal garden. So you've got kind of like the like very regimented structure of it, but as the space station has kind of gotten more and more lived in, like the original like paths, things have gotten moved around. It's more of a maze now, and people have also just kind of shifted like any kind of garden beds or like overhead growers to be kind of more aesthetic and fun, and not just we need to do the absolute most efficient setup possible, because the most efficient setup possible was also kind of like hard to maintain, and also it was the most efficient setup according to the original engineers designing the space station, and it's now been decades and decades and decades up there, and they've figured out what actually works. So this is kind of the main spot where food gets grown for the whole space station.
The weird fish that Zicht brought can thrive there.
Yes. And like the only place I've seen like hydroponics is the times I've been to Epcot and gone to they have a hydroponics greenhouse there, and they let you do a behind the scenes tour of it, and that was my favorite thing about going to Disney, was the behind the scenes hydroponics tour.
I see you were also a very specific type of nerd.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot about hydroponics. I just liked looking at it. It looked very cool.
Root go in water.
You can put a little plastic mold around a cucumber and it grows into whatever shape you want. And because it was Disney, it was Mickey Mouse. But we could have someone who is just like, I want to make all of our potatoes grow in a specific shape. And now that's just the shape that potatoes are for everyone who lives on the space station.
What if they're shaped like a heart and you give a little potato to your crush?
God, Valentine's Day
Yes.
sucks in this fucking station.
Are you kidding
everyone
me?
on the station-
If someone handed me a potato, especially if it was like nicely baked, I would be in love instantly. That's all it would take.
Everyone on the station is so hyped for baked potatoes because they're like,
It's
wow,
they're baked
maybe-
with love.
Baked Potato Tuesday.
maybe my crush made my baked potato and it means something.
When we put alien culture on the yes column, this is what we meant. All right. Me, we need to get through the setup quickly. Also, me, what if baked potato Valentine's? Okay, do you have another location? Or
Well, my second location was I was thinking like maybe Bishop June is fixing up the old bishop's office, but like that's kind of the same as like what Mariana's space is doing. So come back to me on that.
I have a pitch for you that I'm gonna... 1. What if the ambassador's office is shared with the bishop's office? Because, you know, it's a gesture of friendship. 2, why go for an office when you could have a whole chapel?
Yes. Okay. We share the office because the bishop was the original ambassador from the family, and this was a joint station originally.
Mariana, does that work for you?
Yeah, that works.
And also June is going to be like so accommodating because she just showed up here and doesn't want to make any waves.
I need you to know that my character probably grabbed a piece of tape and just marked half of it. So you have your half. And I have my half. Because this is the kind of
Perfect.
psychopath this woman is.
Perfect. So the chapel. The chapel would be pretty close to the hydroponics lab because that's very similar to how the family sets up their individual ships. Because part of like what they consider sacred is growth and the natural world, as much as you can have the natural world in space. And so it's basically next door to the hydroponics lab, but kind of tucked away so that people can have a little bit of privacy if they decide to go there. And it, along with the rest of the space station, has gotten pretty run down. And even from the beginning, not everyone who was on the space station was part of the family, and so not everyone was really interested in using a family-specific chapel, even if it was presented as, like, non-denominational.
It's like when a Pizza Hut changes locations, and you can tell the building was designed to be a Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
But it's something else now. It's a bank now.
Yes. The family was like, everyone can come here, and everyone walks in and they're like, this is a family-specific chapel. But I think the main kind of centerpiece of the chapel is a big stained glass window in it that has 7 different, very stylized to the point of where it just is 7 kind of diamonds set in an arc at the very top to represent the 7 original ships of the family. And each of them kind of has basically a triangle of that ship's color coming down to a center point that is a much more detailed representation of the space station that we're on.
Oh my god, can it be set up in a way that when somebody's standing at the pulpit, when the glass window is behind them, it looks like a halo?
Yes.
All right.
So it's like each of the diamonds is like pretty pigmented, and then the wedges coming down are much lighter. But it is rainbow colors.
Nice. This cult is gay.
Yes.
Maiden, you had locations.
Yes. I mean, there's a really obvious one for Zicht, which is the med bay, which is now like a full-on... It is very much the same style as Hoxet Savra's embassy in our previous game, in that it is essentially an enormous whale-like mammal that has been bonsai grown to the inside of the passageways. So you are essentially in the belly of the beast anytime you go to the med bay.
So I'm gonna say med bay in parentheses gross whale.
Yeah, and like there is still plant growth here, but it is like also weird biological flora. It is less mushrooms and more like these weird glowing hanging vine gut flora.
Ugh.
You know, this doesn't necessarily have to be the location that your character is commonly found in, and so when you were saying that, I was thinking, oh yeah, it would make sense for my character to be in the med bay a lot, because like she's someone that requires ongoing medical care. I don't think she hangs out there, you know, after hearing
I will also
that
say
description.
This probably is not where you find Zicht most of the time. Zicht hates doing his job.
Yeah.
He is never in the
she
med wing.
does. Man.
And I will say Zicht has at least been nice enough to everyone else to, like, lay down some mats so you're not, like, walking on wet flesh.
This gross
You are at
whale.
least walking on, like, little plastic mats.
This gross whale is so lonely, nobody wants to hang out in its belly.
So that's my location, is the medbay / biological wing.
Yay.
I appreciate that Z was nice enough to put down
Thank
mats.
you.
Okay, I meant to type biological wing, but I typed biological whale.
It works.
Well, I have good news for you.
Alright.
I got one. I was thinking about something very funny. I think we should have a cantina where there used to be a creche. So it's got like...
What?
You know, like a creche?
Points at you, fucking Baldur's Gate 3.
I don't know what a creche is.
It's okay, so specifically a creche is like the way I know it. By the way, I have not played Baldur's Gate, so I don't know what you're talking about. It's like a place where they communally raise babies and let them play and that kind of stuff.
Like a nursery.
Yes. I just like the word creche better. I think it's because my mom used to call it that a lot. Anyway.
I've never heard that word before in my life. I love learning.
Yeah. So it's a creche, but now it's a cantina. So think like a circular conversation pit in the middle of the room where there used to be like a playpen or something like that, but they've just gutted it all out and put like tables and stuff there instead. And they've just refashioned this place where they used to communally raise children, and instead people just eat and live there. They've moved all this stuff to the side. I just like the image of it in my head.
Listen, if you have a cool conversation pit, then...
Yeah, climbing into the padded toddler pit to have an intense conversation about space politics.
Literally.
It's like the 70s all over again.
We can just crack open a cold one. We need somewhere for Maiden and Mariana's minor characters to go off and ignore us and drink margaritas.
Exactly.
Like, this is well established.
I think we should have an engine room. If one of our focuses is going to be keeping the station habitable and maintained, I think we need to have a place where that can happen.
I was gonna do, like, sweaty corridors, like bowels of the ship type situation.
Yeah, like engine room where all the like food synthesizers come from, like the mainframe of that. Yeah, like the inner workings / bowels of the ship.
Okay, so that means I have to think of another one.
I can give you another one because I had 2 ideas, so if you really can't come up with one,
You know
I have
what?
another
I will
easy one.
I will take that one as mine because we had the same idea. But
Okay.
Mariana.
I was thinking like there's probably some like not working elevators on this station, so they just took everything kind of out from there and they made these floors, and maybe that's where people like trade stuff, because we were talking about like sometimes people go down to find some resources, and there's always gonna be somebody who like sneak in, sneak out, bring something different. This kind of like markets created in the elevator shaft. So you just go inside
Mhm.
there and try to find like not exactly a black market, but kind of like a place that where you can like trade things and share information and that type of thing. I just like the idea of things like hanging from elevator shafts. I think that's very cool.
I'm so into this visual.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's
like,
so
nature
like
and stuff and like things hanging from like all
mhm.
cables and things like
People have
that.
made like a pulley system to kind of get things from floor to floor because the elevators don't
Exactly.
work. Okay, so bustling market in the elevator shafts. All right, and Maiden, what is your final location?
I think every spaceship should have a bridge. I think we need the place where you actually, like, not necessarily, like, pilot, because this isn't really a, like, travel ship,
Yeah.
but I think having a central, like, operations chamber where you can monitor the entire ship sort of thing would be
That's
good.
actually perfect.
That'd be really fun.
That is less the meeting hall that the chapel/ambassador's office is, and more of like a functional
it's
place
more
of
like
power. Like it has all the security cameras and it has all like the levers you pull to like lock down the hallways. Like it is not a security office, but it is where all of that stuff is.
It's actually
I
perfect.
did right. Central operations chamber / security office.
I am obsessed with that.
I mean, that it can be also a security office. I'm just saying, like, that's not all it is.
Yeah. I'm really into that. Oh man, you just lit my brain up.
I think every spaceship has to have this room.
Yeah.
I like how, okay, so you can put 2 locations on this character sheet for, like, where your character is commonly found. I like how Zicht is commonly found in the engine room, but the mechanic isn't.
Oh, you guys have been just
avoiding
filling that
those
out,
rancid vibes.
Y'all have just been filling that out.
Yes.
Okay, so we have our 10 locations. I'm going to read them off real quick just to summarize. The first is Citrine's Airlock Workshop. The second is the Bishop's / Ambassador's Joint Office termed Town Hall. The third is the Picture Window Observation Deck. 4, Hydroponics Lab / Community Garden. Number 5, the quote-unquote non-denominational family chapel. Number 6 is the medbay / biological wing, in parentheses, gross whale. Number 7 is nursery converted into a cantina. Number 8 is inner workings of the ship / engine room. Number 9 is bustling market in the elevator shafts. And number 10 is the central operations chamber / security office. The next step to playing Kingdom normally would be to brainstorm a list of people so that we can get character ideas. We already have characters, so I think we can go ahead and skip this.
Yeah.
So the last thing that we need to do is pick 2 locations where our characters would normally be found. So you can kind of think of this as like if you were an NPC in like an RPG game, where would the protagonist go to like get your storyline? It looks like a lot of us have done this while we were filling out the locations, which is awesome. And since this is the last step we're going to do before we actually begin play, can we actually go through and read off our full character thing? So name, role, general info, look, locations, and bond. I will go first. Like I said, I will be playing Natalina with a very long name, known as Talia to most people. Power, she's kind of mid-40s, green skin, growing out buzz cut, platinum blonde hair. Faye has burn scars on fair face, hands, and torso. Fleeing revolutionary with a mysterious past, kind, helpful, extremely secretive. And the two locations that I am choosing are the hydroponics lab, community garden, and the central operations office. And my bond is Talia wants medical care from Zicht, but Zicht would rather do weird medical research than care about day-to-day operations. And more broadly, would like Zicht to care about others.
Hi, I will be playing Zichtmig, any and all pronouns. He is a perspective, a slate gray isopod about the size of a Syrian hamster with a single piercing in her exoskeleton. She jumps between hosts at the drop of a hat, but her, generic all-purpose interaction host is a 20-foot-long feathered serpent with, rainbow feathers on it. Commonly, they can be found in the engine room, slacking off, and probably trying to take apart things that shouldn't be taken apart. Or reluctantly because someone has yelled at them to actually do their job as the ship's doctor. It can be found in the medbay. Zick's bond is that Faye wants Citrine to teach it how to build a spaceship and teach it how a spaceship works. Citrine thinks Zick's vibes are rancid and also is a mechanic, not an engineer, so doesn't really know how spaceships work or how to build one.
It's great. So my guy is Citrine. He's a touchstone, the only one we have. He's a shorter guy. He's got tan skin. He's got green hair. And if you're looking for him and the green hair isn't a tip-off, he also wears a green flight suit with a little Ida patch filled with, badges in it. So look for that.
Okay, so Citrine's also in the anime club.
Citrine is absolutely in the anime club.
Citrine is the president of the anime club.
Oh my god.
I don't think you should let him.
What is Ida Patch syntax? I don't know what an Ida Patch is.
It's okay. It's it's a little clear pocket. It's usually in bags. So if you have a bag with a huge clear pocket in it so you can, show off your little anime merch, it's called an Ida bag because it's ow, that's painful to look at because it's so embarrassing and cringe. And then, so instead, on, his little breast pocket, he has, a clear patch where one would usually put, maybe, a name badge or something like that, but instead he's got, a bunch of, little... In my head, it was still, anime, badges in there. You know, what do you call them? Can badges, I think? We got away from this. So that's Citrine's looks. You can find him in his workshop, and if he's not there, he's probably working out some issues in the engine room, trying to avoid eye contact. His bond. Mariana, can you just confirm how you pronounce your character's name so I don't act like a dick?
No, it's okay. It's Amaranto, but she goes also
Amaranto.
by Mara, if that's easier.
Amaranto is fine. I just wanted to make sure. So Citrine's bonds, is he really wants Amaranto to be a good leader that connects with people, but the problem is that she's a freak, and also she doesn't trust him because he just has really bad vibes, and he probably is going to pull off a coup against her. Right, guys? Right, everyone? Anyway.
There's no trust. Okay, so I'm playing Amaranto de las Gardenias, pronoun she, her. She's a perspective that really wants to be a power, but she's not. She's still a perspective. In her heart, in her mind, in her soul, but not in paper. She's around 35 years old, woman with light blue skin. She have an extra eye on her forehead. And she also have this halo thing. It's very nice. She always cover all her skin. She doesn't like to be touched. She doesn't touch people skin to skin, nothing like that. You can usually find her on the joint office where she likes to pretend she still have any sense of responsibility or power. She doesn't. And her second location is the central operations, where she do exactly the same as she does in her first location. She just go around, try to give orders. Nobody listen to her, but hey, she tries, and I think that's what matters really. We have to give it to her. And for my pawn, Maranto really wants June to give her all the secrets of the therapy sessions that she have, all the records and basically all the secrets and information. And June is not about to do that, which I think.
Because literally, why would she?
Well, you don't know. It could be very helpful. I think.
All right, tell it to June.
Yeah. Well, I will when we play. I will tell her everything I think about this and why I should get the records, including a PowerPoint. But that's for later.
Okay.
All right. So I am playing the Bishop Junivane Wistred, who was of the ship Diligence, or just June. And I am. Her pronouns are she, her. June is a power, and she's a middle-aged human woman with long, dark hair, prominent cheekbones, and extremely piercing eyes. Like, she makes eye contact with you, and you feel like everything about you is seen, but in, like, a good way, kind of. Yeah, it's in a good way. The main places that you can find her are in the hydroponics lab / community garden, being so helpful and so good at gardening. And then she's also in the joint office, seeing if anyone comes by needing any assistance. In the bishop's office, that is technically also the ambassador's office, I guess. And June's bond is with Talia, because June just wants Talia to open up, maybe come to church, but mostly open up and...
I'm not saying shit.
Feel like she can really confide in June. Yeah, Talia wants to keep her damn mouth shut.
Alright. Remember when I said that the last thing we had to do before we got to play was the bonds? I lied. We do still have minor characters to introduce. We are just going to go around and do those really quickly, same order as we did our major characters. My minor character is Callista Delacroix, 1st Unit Foot Soldier serving the glorious municipalities of Tetra, 4th child of Epinephra, whose title is as of yet unbequeathed. She is a 17-year-old recently drafted Tetran soldier who was stationed helping out a mechanized orbital unit when she saw a ship that looked unauthorized fleeing Thalassa, followed it here, and is now stuck. Doesn't want to be here, would rather be trying to prove to her mom that she deserves to inherit her mother's title.
My minor character is Wosro Alfudai, who is a tall, fish-like woman who her head kind of looks like a barrel-eye fish in that, like, her entire forehead is, like, see-through, and you can see her eyes and, like, the parasite piloting her. Her job is... Officially, she's Zik's research assistant. Realistically, she is Zik's, like, chaperone and the person who smooths things over when Zik is an asshole or doesn't do its job.
Mm-hmm.
This definitely was not what she was expecting when she signed up to be part of a sabbatical, but she is rolling with it as best she can. She also goes by Wilfred if people don't want to pronounce her weird long name.
My second character is Cinnabar, who is Citrine's younger brother / garage experiment he got way too attached to. Cinnabar is an autonomous robot who knows he's a robot and is dealing with that the best he can and is being sent off to school for the first time in his life to discover himself. He looks about like late teens. He's got the same green hair and tan skin as Citrine, but he's yellow. Smiles.
Good. Yeah, my second character, his name is Titian de la Dala. You can just call him Tian. Pronounced he, they. Um, he's basically Amara's kind of like secretary. He have more of like an intern job. The second like they sent Amara to this station, he was like, I offer myself to help. Like he doesn't want to work. He doesn't want to be like he didn't want it to be off in the planet. Like he's so much happier right now that they are in the station. They of course don't do their job at all. Tijan is the social one to Amara's completely lack of, you know, social relationships and understanding.
So my minor character is Rainwood Calliope of the ship Hope. When they were in the cult, they went by Reniope, but they're going by Cal now. Pronouns are they, them, and they're about 21, and they just escaped from the family, and made it to the space station, have been living there for about a year, kind of struggling with the transition between the kind of highly ritualized, highly structured life in the family and kind of living in the quote-unquote real world. And the pros of not being part of the family is they have privacy for the first time in their entire life. And the cons are, oh my god, what is the meaning of life anymore now that I'm not in a cult? And they've been like working through that, but now that one of the like most charismatic bishops of the family has arrived on the spaceship, they're kinda struggling.
I think Cal and
again.
Diane should be friends. Early 20s, finally having any type of privacy.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All the early 20s like tired ones can you guys help Callie like chill out?
Yeah, of course.
Maybe?
Trust me. Well, trust Ian.
She's so
No,
into war.
Haha.
See, my characters are backwards. The tired one is in her 40s, and Zicht is in the equivalent of her 20s.
That's true. Okay, so those are our lovely minor characters. I hope we get to see them because I like them. But now we have to figure out the most important thing. We need to figure out a crossroad. Usually this would be kind of a turn situation, the way that a lens is in Microscope. I think at least for our first crossroad, I'd really like to come up with it collaboratively, because, you know, it's an important thing that's going to set the scene for the entire season, and I really want to make sure that we all have input on that. We talked a little bit off mic, and I had mentioned of the 3 threats, I'd really love a crossroad that deals with the second one. The effort required to keep the station habitable is starting to outpace available resources. Because of the 3, the first one is about an outside threat, and the third one is about a weird threat. The second one feels like the most applicable to day-to-day life, and that can, like, help us establish a baseline.
Yeah.
I do... Maiden, you did bring up having the crossroad deal with the war instead, and whether or not we should pick a side. I don't want to take that off the table before we talk about it. The reason that I'm leaning away from it a little bit is because we've the status quo that we established at the start is that we're a neutral space station, and I think it would be interesting to kind of be faced with picking a side, but I don't know if I want to do that before we've gotten to see ourselves play as neutral. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thoughts, feelings?
I think so too. Like,
I agree. It's something I definitely want to do.
yeah, like
but
let's
later,
make a base of where we are standing, and then we can start like getting our little hands into this war situation.
Yeah. I have so many thoughts on like, oh, one of the factions comes by with a shit ton of food. Do we take it? But yeah, not quite yet.
I have, I think, a little bit of an idea, which is, should we close off a part of the station to save on our resources? So let's say there's a part of the station, maybe it's like more hydroponics labs and extra bit of stuff, which is like important for some people. Maybe some people live there, but if we downsize our area, we could possibly help fix our resource problem. So it's the idea of conceding our space to it's like downsizing, right? Which is difficult for people. They don't want to leave their homes. They don't want to give up on, and also like if there's hydroponics labs and communal gardens and places like that as well, then we possibly face a food shortage of some kind before we equalize. That's what I was thinking, but
yeah. Okay, so something where we're like needing to give something up in order to keep our station running. I think the space concerns could be really interesting. Feeling good about it?
Yeah, I think as far as sacrifices go, especially if we make it a little more dramatic, like instead of just like, oh, we're not going to take care of that, literally we take that section and we jettison it into deep space.
Hell yes.
Yeah,
exactly. If we decide to cut this part of the ship off, we are throwing it into the atmosphere and it is burning up. Like, yeah, we're not getting it back.
Absolutely.
And it is a permanent downsizing that we can't, without like a long-term plot setup, we can't just be like, okay, we solved our scarcity problem later on, we can just move back into the wing. Like,
no.
It is a permanent, like, even if we fix the maintenance thing later, we are going to have a smaller space station forever, unless, like...
I agree. These questions should be...
Yes.
These should be hard questions to answer, otherwise the game is not going to have enough conflict. Oh. And the whole point is to cause problems. Alright. Pax, do you want to take a stab at, like, wording it? And we can call this one your turn?
So it has to be phrased as a yes or no question, right?
Yeah.
Or
like, will the kingdom jettison?
Will the kingdom jettison? My brain automatically went to like name it like the fourth wing or something like that.
I love giving it a name. Yes, we need to give it a name.
How about we call it the estuary? It's where a bunch of rivers kind of overlap, I think is I don't know the exact thing, but whatever. Will it jettison a wing of the ship?
Yeah.
Will it jettison the estuary to stimmy the resource crisis, I guess?
I just wrote in order to save on resources.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. That, honestly, with our track record, I was expecting to sit there for an hour and debate Crossroads, so... Alrighty. Will the kingdom jettison the estuary in order to save resources? Yes or no? As we play, our kingdom will be confronted by a series of crossroads. Each is an important choice the kingdom must make, and a major chapter of our story. Will the kingdom invade its neighbor? Will we outlaw magic? Will we just take a whole part of our ship and just throw it into space? Our decisions will change the course of our story, so it's important we pick crossroads that interest us. Before we decide which path the kingdom takes, we'll play scenes to learn more about the situation and what our characters think and do about it. Our roles give us different ways to influence what happens, both as characters and as players. Perspective: your job is to tell us the consequences of our decision. You say what happens if we choose one path or the other, and your predictions will come true. If our choice seems too easy, you can show us why it's more complicated than we thought. Touchstone: you show us how everyone in the kingdom feels. As soon as your character has an opinion or attitude, that's automatically what most people in the kingdom think too. You show us which outcome the people want. Power has the most straightforward job. You're in charge. If you tell people in the kingdom to do something, they do it, whether they like it or not. Other players' characters don't have to obey, but you can make the kingdom punish people who don't listen to you, or reward those who do. If you feel your character has changed and your old role doesn't suit you anymore, you can change roles to something that fits better. And if someone is using their role to take the kingdom in a direction you don't like, you can overthrow them and take their role for yourself. Seize power, show why Perspective's predictions are wrong, or how the people don't really feel the way the Touchstone said. After we've played scenes and learned more about the crossroad, it is power and only power who picks the kingdom's path. Perspective sets the consequences, Touchstone shows us what the people want, and then power makes the choice that we all have to live with. Then we'll start a new crossroad to confront the next decision the kingdom must make. But be warned, if any of us think things have gone too far, the kingdom could reach a crisis and risk destruction, ending our game. Push for what you want, but be ready to face the consequences if you push too hard. Alright, we're starting the first turn. Pax, you have chosen the first crossroad, which means you get the first shot to roleplay a scene. You can choose pretty much anything you want, but it should be your character somehow contemplating the crossroad, what they're gonna do, but start by choosing the who, what, and where of it.
So, the kind of scene I was thinking was about Citrine kind of checking out what could look to be a fault or what's becoming a fault in the station wall in this wing, right? But the issue with it is that this fault is directly in someone's home. Like, their kid sleeps near there. What do you mean about the what?
What are you doing? And
yes.
Don't forget the who. Who are you with?
I would like to actually think the person that joined him this time is actually the bishop. I feel like maybe because this wing has like a bunch of hydroponic farms as well, they're going to survey the damage together.
I think what June is mostly doing in there is kind of checking in with the family to get a gauge on like how concerned they are about the situation and trying to make sure that they're all like that they're not super concerned about it, that they feel like we've got it all under control.
What do you... Of course I'm concerned. My child sleeps there. We're in space. If it crumbles even a little bit.
Well, yes, of course, but that is why we have Citrine here with us. And as you know, Citrine is, of course, our chief engineer, so of course he has everything under control.
Mechanic. I don't have a degree.
Well, I mean, at a certain point, degrees are much less practical than real-world experience, or real space experience, if you'll pardon my joke.
This does not look like it's inspiring any confidence. But she looks at Citrine. Do you think you can fix it? We had to leave our old home because it just wasn't safe anymore. The ceiling caved in. I don't know if we can pick up and leave again.
Of course, we don't want you to have to pick up and leave, and we will
asked Citrine.
I
don't need words.
You're still new here. Look, we don't know when or even if this will buckle at any point. The screws are still intact. That's really good. There's still a solid layer of insulation and steel and reinforcements. But you and I both know that this place is crumbling. And the estuary has an even worse track record than the place you were in before. I know it's difficult, but we can pull it together if we just try and you lean on us. You should move. It's good. You don't want to stay and have an accident happen. You'll blame yourself even if it's not your fault.
Let me go talk to my wife. And she shuffles off and leaves the two of you alone.
No hard feelings?
Of course not.
Sorry. It's
No. Realistically, how much time do you think we have, or the estuary has?
Like I said, it's kind of a ticking time bomb, and I don't have the machinery I need to test the thickness of the walls. I was kind of bending the truth a little bit, but it broke last month, and, we don't really have the money to fix it or call in a repair, and no one wants to talk to us, so...
Well, I appreciate everything you've done so far to keep it livable. I know that's not an easy job, and I know it mostly falls on you.
Oh, well, I've been doing it for years. It's not an issue. I wanted to ask you, how's food going? If we lose this, are we going to be able to feed these people?
It'll be a stretch. If there's a way that we can salvage at least the hydroponic section of... No, it's fully in the center, isn't it?
It's fully in the center. Ma'am? Do I call you ma'am? Do I call you bishop? Ooh.
Just June is fine.
June would be great. Do you know what the people up there are thinking? In the town hall?
Mm-hmm.
Is it good news?
I know. At this point, everyone is very enthusiastic about getting everything done, getting all the things they're working on right now done. I know with the new waves of planet-side refugees, we are seeing a bit of strain on what's already being produced, but not too bad, and it's within what we can calculate for. I don't know who, if anyone, has run the calculations on if we lose a full hydroponics center.
It's just... And I think at that moment, Citrine kind of, looks around at the home and kind of, takes it in and kind of sees that, the kid has, drawn on the wall itself, and maybe, one of the moms has, some kind of loom or something, or knitting or crochet or any kind of, project, and it's all scattered around, and it all looks so lived in and homey. And it kind of, hits in that moment that they're not just deciding if we can make it through the months, but these people are losing an entire life that they worked so hard to rebuild, She mentions it, but there's always a difference in seeing and perceiving that loss of space, that loss of, this is what I can call home, and these are my things, and this is the perfect way I've managed to set up my space to accommodate me. these people have street names, they have games, they have slang that they come up with that only they know in their little wing. Are they asking them too much in trying to readjust even to a different part of this station? But the more you think about it, the more you feel the kind of walls of the station creak and settle in a really creepy way. And you're just like, I don't know if this is worth asking people to risk their lives for, you know? What's one person's identity versus the integrity of the entire station, you know? And I think in that moment he kind of looks at June and is just kind of like, I don't know what to do here. I'm meant to be the one fixing it, but I'm stuck in a loop, and I would like someone to make the decision for me so I can work on the solution.
Oh, Citrine.
Yes.
How much... I know resources are thin. I know that's why we're having this whole conversation, and why we're talking to all these people here right now. How much work on you would it be if we try to move the hydroponics center and expand out from where we are in the main hub of the ship?
If it's just me? That would take like 3 months.
Well, we should make sure it's not just you then.
Ha 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 ha. Sure.
Pax, do you think the kingdom is headed towards a crisis?
Possibly.
Let me explain a little bit more about that question. So the next, I think that's good on the scene.
Mm-hmm.
The next step is to check a box. Generally, what you do at the end of a scene is you just check a box on the timer, which will just progress time forward if you think that we have worked toward solving the crossroads. But you also have the opportunity to check a crisis box instead if you think the kingdom is in trouble or heading towards destruction. If you do, tell us why you chose crisis. And I want to say, don't be shy with the crisis boxes, especially you as a touchstone. The crisis box is kind of your main way to mechanically interact with the kingdom. So if we want to not have those crisis boxes get checked, we need to actually work towards fixing, and specifically keeping you and therefore the people happy.
Yeah. At this point, I would probably check a crisis box because I feel the way he ends that is in a worse state than him coming into the situation.
Yeah.
Because as much as he likes to believe that people would help and band together, he's been basically single-handedly taking on the requests for the entire station, and it's like a little...
And the sense I got from your character is anxiety and having no idea what to do, which is therefore how the average person feels about this.
Yeah.
That's not a great place to be.
No.
If anyone would like to, you can narrate a quick reaction to what's going on. But I would say probably only do that if you have a pretty good idea of what you want to do already. Would anybody like to... and reaction is each player can briefly discuss how their main or minor character reacts to what's happening, if they want. This lets you respond without having to wait until your turn or until someone invites you into a scene. And you can also use your roll or do an overthrow in a reaction, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm not quite ready to overthrow anybody yet.
Yeah, me neither.
Pax, do you think it's known that one of the really big stress points here is seeing if we can move the hydroponics lab somewhere else?
I don't think it's really known, to be honest. I think a lot of people are more focused on their day-to-day.
I think that's something my character could absolutely solve, but only if someone tells her.
Hee hee. Haha.
We will move on to the next player. I would like to do a scene in the control office, the central operations chamber. And I would like to... I was gonna bring in June as the other power, but we already got her on screen. So instead, I would love to be joined by Amara. And what I'm envisioning is like the two of us kind of in this room. All of the security cameras are tuned to different places in the estuary. And just kind of watching what day-to-day life on this part of the station looks like.
Okay.
I mean, we have to get rid of it. It's a complete drain, and I
don't see what this is an issue. You're right.
I know nobody likes to say it out loud, but...
You have to go.
We can't let the whole station go down because of a few nice pictures. That's not how you get things done.
Amara is kind of just gonna look at Natalia on the corner of her eye. I don't disagree with you. It's obvious. We just need to let it go.
Gonna need to put it in some pretty words.
Well, is not that your job? It's useless. I don't understand why they're taking so long to make a decision. If it was up to me, we could just...
People are sentimental.
It needs to go.
I know. People are sentimental. You can't just tell them, you have to up and leave, it's for the greater good. Even if it is, people need to feel like they're doing something good for the people around them, and they need to feel like they're doing something good for themselves.
Why is it so hard to see the logical solution of this? We need to get rid of it.
Because it's not about logic. It's about people's lives, people's feelings.
What do feelings have to do with this? Do they want to leave or not?
Well, if you,
If I what?
If you piss off too many people, they burn your house down.
Are you talking by experience?
Just gives her a look.
Yeah, Mar have been very serious through all of this. She kind of helped. A little smile when you know you kind of like did something cool.
Look, I will not confirm or deny my location on the night of certain events, but sometimes you do what you have to do to make a point. And now we have another point that needs to be made. And I'm trying to leave it open for you to make a prediction if you want.
Yep, I was waiting a little bit for them. Listen.
We need to be able to show them the good.
Natalina, right? I know you have certain, let's say, power on this station. Certain power that I don't have.
People listen to me.
And it's alright. Well, it's not. But I will be clear with you. I do think...
Maybe if you understood why people don't want to blow up half of their home, people would listen to you too.
Well, can you listen to me right now? She's gonna put her hand on top of like some papers that she have like close to a table beside her. I already checked and I double check the things that could happen if we get rid of it. I cannot say anything about the emotional situation of the people in the station.
Just tell me the numbers.
But this is, if we let this part of the station go, our resources will last longer. At least that's the positive side of it. This is what we want, right?
I mean, do you have a specific number? People like that kind of thing.
I do. But if we're trying to be honest here, if we do this, first of all, we will never get this part of the station back. Once it's gone, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And second of all, this will leave a weak spot on the station. This station is already crumbling. And with this, if anything happens, if anybody wants to take our station down, it will be there. I do still think she put her hand up before like Talia talks. This is the better solution.
You think we'll be attacked if we do this?
I always think something may happen. I'm just putting the facts on the table.
No, you're right. You're right. It's a perfect strategic weakness.
It is. Again, I cannot tell you what the reaction of people will be. Probably negative in some parts. But I can tell you this. It is a weakness. That's the negative side of it. The positive side, we all live to see another day. We will have more resources, maybe less space, but this for the greater good. We're helping. I'm helping.
We need to mobilize to do something soon. Thank you for your insight. I'll keep it in mind.
Before she leaves, Amara is gonna like take the papers and just fold it and hand it to her.
I'll look it over. Again, thank you for your insight.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and check the moving forward, even though I didn't do anything, because Talia was pretty, like, full on, like, yes, we need to do this, what are we waiting for? But, Amara convinced her to, like, consider fair options a little bit more carefully.
Which I think is very funny because Amara was ready to be like, yes, just throw it into space. Let's do it.
I mean, the both of us are like, yeah, let's fucking go. But also, don't really want to get attacked right now.
Yep.
So just to solidify, your prediction is if yes, the station will be weakened to attack.
Yes.
Do you want to make it stronger and say if yes, the station will be attacked?
See, I don't know if the station will be attacked.
I mean,
just because
if
the priorities.
If you say it will, it will.
I know. I just don't know if it makes sense story-wise.
Okay.
Of what's happening around us.
Yeah, we can leave it as an axe.
I think we should put it as like this will up the possibilities of being attacked, and more than being attacked, if we get attacked, we won't survive this.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm trying to see if you can do more than... I think you can do as many predictions as you want. So if you want to add a...
Yeah, I guess my prediction is like, if he gets attacked, we just won't make it.
That's not quite within the boundaries, but maybe if yes, the station will be destroyed if attacked.
Or at least, partially destroyed. To not, put it...
Will be
like,
severely damaged if not attacked. We don't have to say it gets attacked quite yet. Okay. That's a prediction. So next up is Maiden. Show us an average Zicht encounter.
I could just have Zicht harass Citrine in, like, the engine room.
Sounds great.
Because that is probably your average Zicht encounter. It's just not particularly tied to our... I mean, I guess it could be tied to our ongoing problem. The conceit could be that, like, Citrine is trying to figure out how to solve this problem with, like, the hull walls and trying to, like, figure out how to fix hydroponics, and Zicht's just like, hey, tell me about spaceships. Hey, stop what you're doing and pay attention to me.
Seeing one of, like, the major players fully just ignore the crossroads and, like, try to distract our engineer would be very fun.
So yeah, then I think that's what the scene is going to be. We are in the bowels of the ship, and Citrine is trying to work out, like, if there's any other way to save the hydronics. And Zicht is there to bug Citrine about, like, hey,
awesome.
Teach me about spaceships. So how do we want to start this? Do you want to set the scene a little bit with Citrine and then I can have Zicht come in?
I think with Citrine, like, he's kind of like hurriedly looking around. He's checking all these different panels, and then he'll like duck into some storage spaces to see if there's like any supplies. He's like banging things against the wall to see if they still work. He looks like stressed and sweaty, and he's just like not paying attention to anything around him.
And yeah, I think as he's not paying attention, this enormous snake, like, drops out of a ceiling vent and kind of, like, slithers up behind him and then, like, places its chin on his shoulder and it's just like, hey.
I think Citrine lets out, like, an ungodly scream that, like, resonates against the walls, and it's just like, Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my god. Would it kill you to say hi in a normal way, not scaring the shit out of me?
Hi, Citrine.
Hello.
What you doing?
I'm trying to fix a wall. I'm trying to figure out how to move dirt. Do you have any good ideas on how to do that, or are you going to ask me about how many valves are in my heart?
How does a hyperdrive work?
I don't know. I've never seen a hyperdrive.
There's one in this ship.
I don't look at it.
I looked at the blueprints. You're the mechanic. You should know how it works.
Why? We are not going anywhere. If we go anywhere, we will disintegrate in 3 minutes.
That's no excuse for not knowing things.
Oh my god. Then why don't you know it, genius?
Because it's technology, dummy. We don't do technology.
That's no excuse for not knowing it.
I'm trying to know it. I'm asking you, aren't I?
But I don't know it. Go read a book.
Okay, where's the book?
I don't know. Check the libraries.
Can you show me?
Show you what? The library?
Come on, I'm sure you have a whole stack of manuals in your workshop that you could give to me.
Zicht, I don't know how to tell you this, but people are going to lose their homes and possibly their lives, and also the space station might, like, implode on itself in, like, I don't know, maybe next week, maybe 3 months, if I don't work on this. I cannot hold your, I was going to say hand, but I realized you only have a tail right now, so I can't hold your tail and take you to my home and show you my books. You can go there. It is open.
At this point, the snake, like, opens its mouth, and the middle of its jaw splits open and extends, like, that line down its throat.
Oh my god.
And, like, 2 spindly little arms come out of the throat, and Zick's just like, no, I have hands, see? And, like, waves one of them. You could totally hold my hand.
I don't want to hold your hand. I don't. I want to fix the thing. Do you know how to fix anything? Do you have a weird, deer thing that can move dirt really fast? If you do that, I can take you to my libraries after.
I think the snake just kind of rolls its eyes, and Zick is like, listen, people are gonna die either way, right? If you don't jettison it, a couple of people's homes depressurize and they get turned into goo. Oh no. Truly a tragedy. If you do jettison it, it'll kill just as many people, if not more. It'll just be a slow death. Crowding out. Fights will break out because people get stuck.
Oh my god.
I don't see why it's a decision at all.
You just want to leave it?
It's valuable space. Space is just as much a resource as people's lives. We can just make more people. We can't make more space if we get rid of that wing.
Zick, this is why I don't like to talk to you.
That sounds like a you problem.
No, it sounds like a you problem. Get out.
I can help with the dirt, by the way.
Will you?
What's in it for me? And the snake, like, bats its eyelashes.
I hold your hand and I take you to the library.
Not good enough.
What is good enough?
You have to show me how this place works. If you don't know how something works, you have to learn and then teach me, okay?
That sounds like a really broad request.
Uh-huh.
That sounds like I'm not getting much out of it.
Oh, well.
Oh my god. I think Citrine is kind of like holding like a broken sensor to his face, and it's like slowly making like beeping noises, and he's just like contemplating his entire life. And it's just like, can't we just do a shadowing program?
No.
How quick can you help with the moving of the things?
Zick kind of like pretends to be like thinking, and then is like, oh, I can get my transport form out here in like a cycle, maybe 2.
Okay.
How long is a cycle?
For reference, I think a cycle is like an hour.
What? Oh, wow.
Yeah, no, this is Zick saying, like, basically Zick is just saying, like, oh yeah, I can go home and change into my forklift pants. Like, this is not a difficult thing for Zick to do.
Such a dick. No bugging me about experiments then, okay?
No promises.
Deal, whatever.
Zick just kind of goes, yay! And, like, folds the snake's throat back up, flops back onto the ground, and, like, lazily starts slithering back out of the engine room.
Help me, I just signed a deal with the Quetzalcoatl.
Okay.
So I think that's our scene.
Just to solidify, did you make any predictions in that scene? It sounded like you said if yes, we will, like, it won't solve the problem.
Yeah, I think the Zick kind of threw out a couple half predictions there, but I think the big one was, like, I'm not going to say directly how this will feel, but I think it's broad enough within the bailiwick of a perspective to say, like, if yes, there will be, like, social issues and overcrowding.
If yes, people will riot.
So you can't make a prediction about how people will feel, because that's a touchstone thing, and you can't make a prediction about specific characters, which you didn't do, but I'm just putting it out there. But if yes, there will be overcrowding is absolutely...
yeah, I think that is the one. Like, if yes, we will be severely limited by space, is the prediction Zick is making.
Okay, and would you like to check forward the crossroads or the crisis?
I will check the timer just because I think, like, if one of the major sticking points is the hydroponics thing, Zick will be true to her word, and they will, like, help Citrine move the hydroponics lab. And I think that is, like, a major step towards being able to make a decision one way or another.
I think I would like to frame a reaction from my minor character, Cal. And I think Cal is kind of cleaning up in the main hydroponics lab and just kind of getting some equipment stored away after a shift in the hydroponics lab. And part of that is kind of taking inventory. And this is Cal's first time taking inventory. They've just started working in the hydroponics lab, and they like kind of go down their checklist and are writing down all the numbers of, like, we have this many yards of tubing. We have this many cubic feet of compost, all of this stuff. And they, like, enter the numbers into their kind of tablet, getting things to get everything checked off, and a warning sign flashes on the tablet that's just like, warning, store is slow. And, like, they panic because they're like, oh god, I did something wrong. And they take it over to their supervisor, and the supervisor looks at the tablet and is like, oh yeah, it does that. It's done that for the whole time I've worked here. It always says it's low. Like, that's basically just a nothing warning. You don't have to worry about it. You didn't do anything wrong. Don't worry, Cal. And so Cal is like, okay, I guess this is normal, and just, like, signs off, Cal, Cycle 7, and turns in their tablet, and goes off to grab something to eat before they head back to their room.
I also would like to frame reaction, which is Talia seeing Zicht move into the hydroponic lab to start trying to move things, basically is like, oh, finally somebody's doing something. And essentially just goes around the station, and there's a little montage sequence of her, like, talking to different civilians and, like, just having conversations with people, and then you go, camera moves back into the hydroponics area, and there's just, like, everybody's pitching in, packing, everybody's helping. So, Talia has mobilized, like, the people of the station to assist what Zicht is doing to get everything packed up and moved. Hello, we are the Storyplayers podcast. I just read the intro that I wrote down and decided I didn't like it. Oh, this also has me saying good morning, which it's not morning, except for PAX.
You can say good morning to me.
Good morning, PAX. Welcome to the Storyplayers podcast. It's 1 a.m.
It's 1 a.m. and you're all so lucky to have me.
We are.
No, don't do this to me.
You brought this upon yourself. How did you not know that that's how we were going to respond to that asshole?
I want you to kill me. Anyway.
Hello, and welcome to the Storyplayers podcast.
If you're good, I will get the Odachi.
Actual play podcast. We're gonna have a good time. Now there's a train going by.
Do you want to try again with the intro?
No.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Storyplayers podcast, an actual play podcast with no GM but a lot of trains in the background.